Hey, what's up, guys? This is Kuya Paul, and you are listening to the Love and Other Metaphors podcasts here on, well, wherever you're listening to it. Yeah, sure. It's most likely going to be on YouTube, but I'll probably have links on Facebook and such like that as well too. So yeah, thanks for just listening along. This is episode 2 of the podcast, and you can probably hear it in the background more or less, but I'm actually in my car this time, specifically on the 10 freeway, headed towards Pomona. Gonna be meeting up with some friendos tonight. Still have that pesky cough. You know what? I'm gonna turn the heat up a bit, just so I'm not coughing as much. Found out from hanging out with my friend that I don't cough when I'm warm. That makes sense. In consideration that I guess I just haven't been taking care of myself bodily wise, or just not listening to my body as much. Let me give you some background. So I used to be bigger. About how much is it right now? 70 pounds. 70 pounds bigger. I used to be 70 pounds bigger than I am right now. I won't tell you my actual weight, but I used to have a lot more. I'll just say insulation. And I didn't get cold as easily, but now I get cold a lot. And when I do, I cough. I contributed a little bit to asthma, but honestly, I think it's just because I get cold. So yeah, my heater's up right now. That should help a little bit. And yeah, as I said, I'm in my car, so putting on the heat, not so bad. I'm actually also using my recorder that I finally found. I was using this little what was the brand of that other one? I want to pull it out, but I'm using my Tascam now. I was using another recorder, which it did well. It's not a bad recorder. I like it. But I really like the sound that comes out of my Tascam. Ooh, I'm tired. And stuck in traffic right now. Going onto my Tascam. I think that's also why I'm tired, because when you're in traffic, you just kind of get drowsy, because it's it's a slog, especially in LA. I'm used to the traffic. I don't mind it very much, but yeah, you just kind of get tired. It's one of the reasons why I have I'm just going on tangents again, but it's one of the reasons why I have a stick shift. When you have a stick shift in traffic in LA, you just kind of you have to switch the switching. you have to switch shifts all the time, so it keeps you active. And as for myself, yeah, it keeps me active to be able to have a stick shift, have a manual in the circumference of LA. That's a good description, right? I'm trying to be more wordy within this, but yeah, I'm actually driving to Boomers to meet up with some friendos. I'm going to be filming them just for fun, nothing super special. Just wanted to use some of my new equipment. I got a new. I already talked about that, but I got a new Rode mic that I've been wanting to test out. I tested it out from some kind of videos. Last time I talked to you guys, I don't think I'm gonna post them. They're just well, maybe I'll do one blooper one, but I just wanted to test out my mic. So I did a couple of shots in downtown Covina. I'm going to test it out a little bit more today, and I'll probably have that video out as part of my ongoing life vlog. I was using another camera. I don't know if I talked about it, but I was using this other camera for my vlogging, and it kind of didn't work out. I just went back to my good old D3200 because you can attach a mic on there. You don't have to use a external. Well, you're using external mic, but you don't. There's no input for that one. In fact, what I'm thinking about getting is just kind of a point and shoot video, maybe a Sony Handycam with an external mic attachment or something. I'm probably gonna go that route later on, maybe. The 3200 doesn't work that bad actually. My Nikon. One thing I like about it is the shoots video at what I want it. 1080p, 30 frames. I can go up to 60 frames too if I wanted. I don't really want. But what another video cam could do is it could shoot for longer, because my D3200 only shoots for 20 minutes because it is a it's supposed to be a point and shoot. It's supposed to be a DSLR, and I guess by FCC regulation, a camera that shoots for longer would be considered a video camera. So they have to cap the video, at least the built-in video. You can hack it. I don't want to hack it. I have no need or reason to hack it. I'm not a super professional to hack a camera and let it run for a longer video. Plus, like, DSLRs are not necessarily made for video. I know video is done. You can what do you call it? Magic lantern, magic something. I forget what it's called. You can hack it, and you can hack like a Canon. A lot of people hack like 5Ds and stuff and make it shoot like a video camera, which is basically like it shoots continuous with no pause. You could do that. I'm not gonna do that with my camera. 20 minutes is more than enough time. I don't plan on shooting anything for longer than 20 minutes at a time, other than podcasts, and I guess that's why I want like more of a like all-purpose video camera. But I'm not gonna do that right now. Instead, I'm gonna be doing these audio podcasts. I really honestly, I really do want to do video. I wouldn't mind doing a video podcast. It's just a lot easier just doing the audio, and I enjoy it. I think I talk a lot. I don't think you need to see my face. A lot of you guys know what I look like. Maybe I'll put my face somewhere so you guys can oh yeah, that's what Kuya Paul looks like. Yeah, that's me. But for the most part, yeah. Audio podcasts it is, and I hope you're enjoying it. Just me and rambling once again. The Love and Other Metaphors podcast talks about faith, art, and pop culture, and then just kind of my ramblings in it. Today, there's a couple of things that I wanted to talk about, a little bit more personal things. This would be kind of more between the faith and pop culture. This is actually a little bit more of my life that I'm going to be talking about. Yeah, maybe we'll transition into some pop culture stuff. In terms of pop culture, just to give you an idea of my own take on pop culture and where it's coming from, I do listen to my own podcast, not my own podcast, but podcasts on my own that talk about things going on in the world, and every now and then I'll comment on those things. I'm not as big in terms of the social commentary. I understand that podcasts like this, it is important to have a view, not necessarily to sway other people to your view, but to be firm and strong within your beliefs and your faith. And I think that's why I've been wanting to do podcasts, because I've wanted to express my opinion, and express my convictions and my faith and my beliefs, to encourage other people. I'm not trying to sway people necessarily, but if my convictions help people find their own, then all the better. All the better for it. So I think that's one of the reasons why why I do this and why people do podcasts, because I think it's important to hear other people's opinions, to help, not to sway, but at least to help shape your own, to know that you're not alone. So to have confidence in the convictions that you have, knowing that other people may share those same opinions. And I don't mean to pander to people. I don't mean to cause dissension as well too. I don't mean to. At the same time, we live in a world where dissension is it's gonna be a thing. People are gonna have opinions, and it's not necessarily the dissension in the sense that I want to separate people, but it's the idea that we'll always have different opinions, and we should always feel free to express them. That's why I'm doing this podcast, for my own sake, to help strengthen my own convictions in that regard as well too. So yeah, that's why I'm doing this. That's why I am here talking into my favorite Tascam mic, on the 10 freeway headed towards home. I'm actually passing West Covina, the plaza in West Covina right now, and passing Vincent Avenue. So yeah, that's That's the first part of my podcast, me just kind of rambling on. So if you're still here, if you're still listening to me, and all the blessings towards you, honestly, because really this is just me rambling on in my podcast. A couple of things I wanted to talk about. I did definitely want to talk about some of the things happening in, generally in my personal life, or at least the things that I've been starting to learn, and maybe that does help you guys. But yeah, I've been going back into that work grind as well too, in terms of writing. I was writing a blog that I'll be sharing sometime either tonight or tomorrow night. It aligns with the things that are going on actually within my church, the youth ministry of my church that I do help out. I had recently stepped down from kind of full-time pastoral ministry, and I'm kind of just there as kind of a counselor and what's the other word for a counselor? A consultant. I like that idea. So I'm there kind of on a consultative role, helping out with the leadership at my church in terms of the youth and young adult ministry. But they're going through this chapter by chapter study of the book of Matthew, and I've been helping out with them. And I recently wrote a blog about one of the chapters, one of the verses within the second chapter of Matthew that you can read. You can read on my social media. I'm going to be putting it up if it's not already up on Facebook. You'll also see a link on Instagram to it. I already hinted at the fact on Instagram that I have a blog post coming up soon, so you'll be able to see it there. And I believe, hopefully, if I can remember my password, updating that blog as part of my continuous blog posts on my blog site, which is kuyapalpoetry.wordpress.com. I haven't even been back there in the longest time. In fact, I have a website that I renewed, but I haven't updated, so I need to update that as well too. kuyapalpoetry.com. So you're welcome to visit all those things. I do need to update them, but yeah, they're still all up, including my Facebook. So if you're not already following me, you can follow me on Facebook, facebook.com/kuyapalpoetry. Also on Instagram, on instagram.com/kuyapalpoetry. You could also follow my what is it called? Photography, my photography and other visual arts websites. Lonely Bird Studios, same thing. Facebook.com/Lonely Bird Studios, or Instagram.com/Lonely Bird Studios, where you can see some of my my portraits, I guess you can call them. My pictures that I've been taking, just a part of the art that I do. So yeah, actually, that is a little bit about another thing that I'm going to be doing since I got this new mic. I already mentioned it. I'm going to be doing some videos, some live vlogging again. I enjoy live vlogs. I enjoy it. I really do enjoy, like, kind of just showing a little tidbit in terms of what's happening in my life. I think a lot of people also enjoy doing it as well too. That's why a lot of people do it. And the idea of just like vlogs, life vlogs, okay. So it's really interesting. Me going into the whole social media thing, especially when I did the Lonely Bird Studios, I got to see that a lot of people have definitely made a following. Some people even made a livelihood on just being just having a motivational lifestyle, which I thought was very interesting. There are Instagrammers out there, and all they do is just take pictures of themselves and what they're doing, and use a really good camera, or at the very least being a good photographer. Maybe they themselves are a photographer, and using that motivation to kind of create a lifestyle out of it, a lifestyle that pays, which it's really cool. I don't know if I'd ever want to go that far in terms of just living life, sharing it, and making money out of it. But I find it interesting that you can have an interesting social following just by living a life that other people want to live. I guess that's part of celebrity as well too. I can go in terms of just like you tend to follow people. Social media is really interesting in that regard because you tend to follow the people you want to be. You can tell a lot about a person by what they look up to, who they look up to. You can tell the insides and outsides. I always find this interesting because I used to do this when I was younger. I used to look at, and I don't know if people have ever done this, but y'all ever look at song selection, like on an iPod? I remember back in the day when everyone had an iPod. Not everyone had like a phone, like a smartphone, but people had iPods. And what I used to do is I used to look at an iPod, and you can tell a lot about a person by their song selections, by what kind of songs that they had. And I found it very interesting how down to earth it made people seem, or how eclectic it made people seem, or how non-eclectic. Maybe they were, I don't want to say basic, but I'm saying it basic, because of the song selections that they had in the iPod. And yeah, I mean, I tend to vibe with certain people with like, oh man, this guy's got some R&B, or they got certain songs that I was like, oh man, this nostalgia, like for real, all the way. Especially like slow jam R&B, man. That used to be my thing. So I used to vibe with a lot of people. When I look at their iPod, I was like, oh dude, you got SWV, you got freaking Jodeci in here, you got Blackstreet, dude, man, you got All For One. What is this? Yeah, and then like you just kind of like vibe with that, and then you have like kind of like the newer rap and rock and R&B and stuff like that were coming up. I remember usually just around this time, this was like when Eminem was coming up, which I thought was interesting. Like the types of songs and albums that you'd have from Eminem or Slim Shady. I mean, I thought that was interesting as well too. That's just me. But then you also have like pop, like if they had like Britney Spears, or they had like what was it? Freaking not Beyonce, but like the group. How come I can't remember? What is their name? Somewhere in the comments, someone tell me what's the freaking name. Oh man, I can't remember. But then you'd have like Usher, you have all of them, or like if you can tell if like they were like straight street, like if they just had just a bunch of like gangster rap. You had like old school. They got like freaking the Biggie album, or they had Pac, or like, you know, like all that stuff, or if they had indie stuff, like independent, like freaking underground. Like you had that, like you got to learn. I'm going on a tangent, but I admit, like honestly, side note, I do kind of miss having an iPod. iPods are interesting. Like I've gotten lazy with Spotify. I don't make playlists. I just kind of like put it on radio, and I let the radio tell me like, oh, what's some good music out there. So I've kind of gotten lazy in searching for new music and asking other people. I've kind of got lazy in it. I mean, I've discovered some new artists, but like I feel altogether like I kind of got lazy in searching for new and listening to new music. That's a different story, man. I can go on and on with that. But iPads used to do it. I think social media does it. The people that you end up following, the type of music you listen to, the type of podcasts you listen to, the type of shows, even the type of streaming services. Like I mean, so many friends that just like Netflix is just their thing. They need to have a Netflix. And I get it. I'm not mad at them or anything. Like, I'm not like rolling my eyes. I get it. That's your platform. My platform's YouTube. And the reason my platform is YouTube. Partly is because it's free. And it has a lot of more, I don't want to say intellectual, but it's thought-provoking because I just listen to podcasts. And since I have unlimited internet, I don't just listen to it, but I also have like the video for it as well too. So I might as well just do it that way. Again, free. Netflix. I have like that T-Mobile thing where I can get free Netflix, but I don't really want to, because I feel like I'll just get stuck on Netflix. There's so much media out there, honestly. But again, like going back, because there's so much media, like you get to kind of see the personalities of different people. If they're like bandwagoners, or if they're just like, I need to see. And you know what? There's a lot of really good shows. So I don't want to say like, I don't want to critique someone saying, oh, you're just like one of those people that watch this show, or you just watch that show, so you're just like one of these kind of people. Because honestly, the shows out there are really, really good. But it does kind of delve into a person's personality. The fact, like, the fact that they take away social medias. Like, I know some of my friends have given up on Facebook. They just do Instagram or Snapchat. Some people predominantly just use Snapchat. They don't use anything else. I've found that older people use Facebook a lot and they don't use the other ones. I am a Facebook, Instagram guy. Like, I'm just young enough to continue to use Instagram, but I'm not so young that I go to Snapchat, because Snapchat to me is a waste of time. But then Facebook, I feel like I'm more connected to a larger communal pool. Like, I'm more kind of in touch with what's going on in my local area when I have Facebook, because Facebook has like a lot of integration in terms of like community stuff, letting you know if other people are going to certain things within the community. I'm just kind of at that age where I like learning about new events and trying out new things. So I like it when I personally, like, I feel like sometimes Facebook can be kind of a troll towards my friends for myself, where they did, like, Facebook tells me, oh, your friend is going to this event and do you want to go with a friend? It's like, it feels kind of like stalkery, but at the same time I'm like, you know what, like, I like this friend, they're doing this certain thing, or they're going to this certain event that I think I might like as well too. So I kind of like the fact that Facebook tells me that. And again, it makes me feel like I'm part of the community. It's just like, well, this is a really cool event, I want to go to it. And it helps me feel like I'm kind of still growing in terms of my personality, in terms of my character. Not that, of course, like, my foundational character and my faith are changing, but I like to keep an open mind, and I think Facebook does that for me personally, with my friends. But I understand why a lot of people don't. And social media, like, altogether, social media can be it can really bog you down. Like, it can shape you more than, like, it can shape you more than you allow it to. Yeah, it can shape you more than you usually allow it to. It can tell you who you think you are, or who it wants you to be, I should say, more than you'd want it to tell you. And I understand that. I understand why people will quit it, because when you see your friends doing all these and it, you know what? I'll be honest. Sometimes it discourages me too when I find out that like every one of my posts is all my friends going on these like random excursions outside of the country and stuff like that. Can discourage you. But you have to also remember that like even though they're all coming at the same time, well, it's like vacation season. You don't know the fact that, like, you know, they budgeted for years, like maybe 2 or 3 years just to go on vacation, or like it's within their budget, or they're like other things are happening within their life. You don't get that story. You just get the story. It's like, look, I'm here. Look, I'm in like this really cool, awesome place. Or look, I took this really great trip, or I'm riding this camel, or I'm not pointing anything out. I'm trying to be as general as I can, because I'm not trying to point out any of my friends. And in fact, I love it. I love how they have the dedication to save enough to be able to do trips. I think a couple of my friends are actually going to the Philippines in the next couple months. Others are going to like just far off places and having like bucket list trips where they are trying to knock things off on a bucket list. And that's great. And I love that. But again, going back, I know how social media can be discouraging, because it looks like everyone else has a life but you. And you feel compelled to shape your life towards it, but you just kind of had to refocus and sometimes quit. I understand, guys. I understand all my friendos. You need to quit Facebook, or you need to quit Insta, or you need to quit Snap, because like you feel like, oh, am I like the only one not doing anything? I'm like, no. You just got to remember what you're doing. And then later on, you'll have the post that discourages somebody. And I don't mean, because I mean, okay, look, it's kind of true, but it's sad. It's sad that, like, I know, like, I might put something up, like last year when I said, hey, I published a book. There's got to be someone out there that read that, and I'm like, I didn't do anything, and look at Kuya Paul published a book. I am not trying. I am so not trying to discourage anyone. Of course, I'm very thankful that, you know, like, I was able to do this. But of course, like, it's also a sales thing. I have to talk about my book if I want to sell it. I'm not directly trying to discourage anyone. But I understand how social media works. That social media on a social level and on an individual, like, emotional level can be discouraging. Wow, I wasn't meant to talk about this, but I'm talking about it. I understand that social media it discourages me sometimes. And that's why I do my best. I'm not good at it, but I do my best to kind of keep it under wraps on myself, not to like let it discourage me in my pursuit for things. At the same time, sometimes it does encourage me to do things within my life, like being able to write a book, being able to do all these things within my platform of art, poetry, spoken word, and every now and then photography. Like, I want to be encouraged to do more of these things. And I talked about it last time, that you do need a balance. You need a balance between that and, you have to make money. It's great to be an artist. I love being creative, but I mean, you also have to be responsible. You have to be responsible. And I'm doing my best. I'm not perfect at it as well, too. I have my things. I have my things that I may never post on social media, or I may hint at it but never talk directly about it. I can't say for sure. I'm an artist. Artists do crazy things. Sometimes artists tell, like, everyone all their business. And to them, like myself, to them it's like, no, this is an art piece. This is my exercise and feeling emotionally free. And I get it. But sometimes it's like, this is a lot of ish, and I didn't need to know about this. Like, I didn't even know about your relationship. I didn't even know about your troubles with your wife or your kids or whatever. Or it's like, I didn't need to know that you had these tendencies and stuff. It's like, I didn't need to know that. But again, some artists, they need to have that emotional. That's a different story. But you understand, like, in terms of like social media, I may not ever post that, but that's what kind of goes on. In terms of being encouraged by it, it's great, but you also have to have that balance, to be able to know that at least in the best way that you can, making sure that you're taking care of yourself, but at the same time also knowing that every now and then you'll have to take those steps of faith. What I talked about last time, taking risk. Going back to social media, because I talked about that already in the last podcast. But yeah, in terms of social media, I understand that it can be discouraging, and kind of trying to remember my main point in all of this. But you know what, who cares? I'm a tangent guy. So social media. So yeah, those are the things that happen within social media. You can get discouraged super easy. But it can be a platform of encouragement. I've seen a lot of people become encouraged when they feel part of a community. I think, and I don't want to even think, it's like I know, at least in practice and theory, that what social media was supposed to do was to bring community together. That's what it was supposed to do. Whether or not it's done that, of course, like, time does tell. And there are other people that bend certain platforms and certain tools to fit their own desires, whether good or ill. But social media and social networking and marketing, in the purest sense, was supposed to bring the world together, supposed to bring people together. And it has done that. I really do believe that it has done that, but you do have to be careful. And I know, like, every person and their mom has said that, like, about, like, social media and about media in general. Like, media is supposed to bring people together. It's supposed to highlight different aspects of our own life, to find some commonality. So we can see that for the most part, we may be going through the same stories, we may be going through the same struggles, and to find hope within those things, or at least to find a lesson within those things. It's one of the reasons why I do adore the artistic process, and I'm a fan of media. I'm a fan of good media, and what it can do as a tool. I don't think media in and of itself is a bad thing. I know in the past, especially within circles of faith back in the day, even back in my day, there was a sort of witch hunt mentality that had kind of streamed through the church, where they saw the onset of media, because it was used by a plethora of people that had very selfish ambitions in mind. Because of that, it was slated as very sinful, very devilish. I get the mindset behind that. I'm not trying to nail the church down and say it's like, hey, they were wrong. They had good intention, but wow, I'm talking about this, man. So the idea, since we're talking about social media, the idea of media within the church has always been, it has always been a very volatile subject. Like, how far is too far in terms of media? And I think as a church, in the last, maybe I'll say anywhere between 3 to 4 decades, like half a century, what we've kind of collapsed on is this idea that media is controlled by evil and sin. That's it's only tools. I'll just say it straight out, like, it's only tools for the devil, which is the wrong mindset. Because all in all, media is a tool. That's all media is. It's not like it has no in and of itself. Media, like video, audio, social, in and of itself, it has no soul. It has no it has no sway, whether good or ill. So our idea that any form of media was evil was because, and I'll say it very generally. The idea that media was so bad and so evil was because it was used by evil people. I'll just say it that way. Because in and of itself, the tool, like, you can call a hammer a good thing because it can put in nails, it can help build a house. You can call a hammer a bad thing if you use it against somebody, if it's used against the purpose that it was made. And it's not to say that, like, we've been blaming the hammer when we should be going against the idea of using the hammer in an ill-slated fashion. I think that's what in the end we should have been really focusing on, is the fact that, like, why are we using these tools in ill ways, but blaming the tool? And again, this goes back to social media. It's like, well, social media more or less kind of like dictates this idea. At least, you know what? It dictated this idea to the church in the beginning, where it basically said it's like social media is a bad thing. Which is funny now, because, like, all these churches have social media accounts. Find us on Facebook, find us on Instagram, like, follow us on Twitter for church updates. I always found that funny. I was like, okay, that's cool. Social media in the church is trying to be cool. Oh man, that's another thing, man. Like, the church trying to be cool. So it uses these things where it's just like, it's not about being cool, it's about using the tool. I can go on and on and on about all this stuff. But yeah, like, for real, like, we saw this idea back in the day that when you're using media was wrong. And back how many decades ago, we had this idea. I think my parents were interesting forerunners within this idea that media could be used as a tool to glorify God and to help the church grow. Because my parents were like, man, they were into, like, back in the 80s, man, they were into the whole disco, pop, everything. And they like, before they became Christian, they were all into, like, MJ, Madonna, like, for real. Like, those records were, like, playing, like, forever, like, at our house before my parents, like, accepted the Lord. And I understand why they gave it up. because like they saw those pieces of media as like, oh man, like the messages that they had were not good and they didn't want to follow them. That made sense. Honestly, that really made a lot of sense. My parents, like, they stopped like listening to MJ, listening to all them records, because they had that conviction that's like, nah, the message that it was holding was not good. That being said, though, and I'm drinking my water. Hold up. I'm still here. But like, that being said, they were kind of forerunners, because when they started praise and worship, they kind of brought that same that same musical mentality, and they just brought that same musicality and that love for the media back in the way they did worship. Like, they played music the same way that they loved to hear music, and like good on them also, like for us, when they were trying to teach us the word, they were just like, you know what, there's like some bad cartoons out there and bad like shows out there for kids, but there's some good shows out there. So like they kind of embraced like the whole, like, I remember growing up, and I loved like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I liked X-Men. But you know what? I was also freaking, like, when I was a kid, I was just like, I'm gonna listen to Salty, the singing songbook. I'm gonna listen to the Donut Man, and like I'll go with this media as well too. And I had this adoration for all this like different other forms of media as a kid. And again, just kind of going back because I'm running out of time. The idea that like media is only media on its own is not evil. It has no soul, but all it is a tool, and it just depends on how we use it. I mean, I could talk about it in terms of the faith, but I could also just talk about it individually. Like social media can be a good thing. It can bring you closer to people that you haven't talked to in a while. Friendships. I've had so many like counseling sessions and just encouraging sessions with my friends on Messenger, back in the day, AIM, Instant Messenger, like chat rooms where we've had groups and like groups of my friends just kind of encouraging each other. I've gotten encouraged by like going into voice chat rooms with my friends that we share on what is that thing called? What is it called? Well, yeah, I mean, I've gotten encouraged as well too, and media can be a good thing. It can bring you together, but you really just have to be careful with it. Man, that's my podcast, and that's my metaphor for this evening or morning, whenever you're listening to it. But once again, my name is Kuya Paul. Follow me, facebook.com/KuyaPaulPoetry, also Instagram.com/KuyaPaulPoetry. Follow this podcast on YouTube. The link will be in the description, unless you actually just click the link on my Facebook or Insta. Whereas if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll be putting more content up. But once again, this is Kuya Paul. This has been my metaphor. Thank you. God bless.